Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Coffee Break, and welcome back to the CoffeeCast Procast featuring TSLPolt and Monchi. We are going to be spawning here on Antigua Shipyard for game number 2 of this best of 3 series. Monchi spawning in the lower right corner as the green Protoss once again. And on the top left side, we do have TSLPolt. So once again, cross positions. I don't know if these maps are specifically designed to force cross positions or not, or if it's just kind of a random chance that it's happened like this. I know that there are a couple of maps. Oh gosh, I'm fairly certain. I think MLG is one of them that forces cross spawn on Antigua because of the closeness of the third and the natural. I could be wrong on that, but I think it does. In the first game on Tal'Darim Malter, once again we did see that cross spawn position, and we saw Monchi go for a super early Nexus. I mean ridiculously early at 16 supply. That's pretty much as early as you can go with a Nexus. Dropping that down at 16 supply and going to go ahead, do a 68 with a proxy robo, and just blasted the front door of TSLPolt and was able to take a super convincing game in that first game of this best of 3. This is from the Zotac Cup, which I believe is an online daily or weekly tournament for cash. Polt, I know, is a pretty good Terran player. Monchi, I've never really seen him in any big tournaments, but he's always doing the Zotac Cup. I see him a lot on the replay sites, so obviously cannot be all bad if he is that popular. And actually going to be scouting the right way right away, so maybe it is forced cross spawns because he went straight across the map. Not going for such an early expansion in this game, not that super risky 16 Nexus, which I think if Polt saw it again, he would just do some sort of, I don't know, some sort of bust against that. Try to do a 3 racks timing push or something to do a little bit of damage. But Monchi, not a one trick horse, going to go ahead and do something a little bit different in this game, do a much more standard 1 gate cybernetic score, probably going to expand after that. Just a nice, safe little build. And in the meantime, Monchi is just going to be running around with this probe, fooling the Marine. Nope, Marine's not fooled at all. I thought the Marine was going to run down there into the steam to try to catch it. But he is not going to be tricked by that. And so far, oh, that probe almost got away. Oh, I was rooting for it. Anytime, I was talking about this on my amateur attack last night. Anytime I see, a probe or an SCV or something getting chased by Zerglings or Marines, half the time I will just stop doing what I'm doing, just like watch that probe go along, sitting there, my fists are clenched, like run probe, and then if it gets away, I do this little celebration dance. And when they don't, I die a little inside. It's very depressing to me. I don't know why, but I literally get so attached to those poor scouts running away from their imminent doom. It's kind of pathetic. Polt will be laying down his expansion around that 20 supply area, around that 4-minute mark or so, give or take a bit. I'm going to be laying down these 2 extra barracks as well, same exact build that he did last game, so he is not deterred by that bust last game. And I really don't think that he should be. That was kind of, I wouldn't say cheesy at all by Monchi. It was very well executed. It was one of those things that Monchi was doing just to gain superiority early on. And indeed, we do have that 1 gate expansion coming out of Monchi. But, Monchi just wanted to get a little bit of control earlier on in the series. That is exactly what he did, and now he's settling back and doing a little bit more standard play, seeing that if he can go ahead and pull out a standard win rather than trying to do a quick bust with that proxy robo. And Polt, once again, not deterred, gonna just go ahead, play his own standard game, play what he is comfortable doing, which I know that he does have a fairly refined game. And once again, just looking super similar to the last game. Getting 3 barracks, getting a little bit late second gas, even a little bit late first gas, as we can see only about 60 or so, 70 gas mined. Dropping that tech lab, probably going to go ahead and start getting stim pack as well. We do have this forward pylon set up, as I select the destructible debris. I don't know why it selects the debris and not the pylon. But this is kind of a nice little push coming out of Monchi. This is something Day 9 is preaching, is be very active with these early units. But he's going to need to be careful not to lose too much. Accidentally losing that 1 stalker there is not... Oh, is going to manage to take out the bunker. That was really close with that mass repair. However, there are so many Marines down on the map. I don't think that he's going to be able to do any damage. And this pylon's actually going to get sniped right away, so that's kind of a waste. of 100 resources. He's going to jump up and try to take out a few SCVs, which is exactly what he's going to be able to do with these Stalkers, taking out 4 SCVs, I think it was, only losing a couple of Stalkers in that engagement, a couple of Zealots. I'd say that came out fairly even over in the units lost. We do see Monchi just a little bit behind in that regard, but I don't feel like that's too big of a deal. I love the fact that he's being active, still trying to push up and do a little bit of damage. I really feel like he needs to actually needs to disengage here, as he's beginning to lose more and more with these engagements because he has not really killed that many units of his opponent, and he's losing a lot of his own. It looks like he might still be pushing. I disagree with his attempts to keep pushing. But I do like that he's doing these initial poke outs, trying to do a little bit of damage in the early game to see if there is an opening for him to do some. And there we go, falling back across the map, deciding that it's not worth it to push that anymore. Gonna go ahead and get stim pack. That is just a little bit over halfway done, and drop a couple of reactors, one reactor in a tech lab as well. Factory just finishing up as well. Don't know if he's going to do any factory play or if he's just going to stick to doing starport, which it is indeed what he's going to do. Getting the reactor down on that factory so that he can go ahead and switch it off, get some medevacs and Vikings out in the early game. On the other side of the map, though, we do have a Twilight Council coming up for Monchi. I like the decision not to go for robotics again in this game. I mean, Colossus obviously good all around, even if your opponent is churning out Vikings, even if your opponent scouts it, sees that it's coming. Colossus always good, but I personally am a big fan of this Twilight play versus Terran, especially if he goes up to Templar Archive fairly soon. I love my Storm play, especially when you see something like this, a lot of biological units in that early game. Storm, obviously very good for combating biological units. Also can use feedback on those medevacs to take away the healing power. Very potent strategy to use against your opponent, especially if you get charge and a few sentries to back it up with, and you can just rip them up in no time at all. However, we are not going to be seeing charge coming out of Monchi. Instead, Blink is going to be his desired tech path. Always a good little upgrade to have there. It does look like actually Polt's going to be moving out a little bit. Almost going to supply block. Oh, no, not supply block. He must have had a pylon finishing right at that time. Monchi's going to have to fall back because that's kind of a nasty army coming out of Polt. This beautiful timing attack. 2 medevacs. Had 3 barracks, producing units, getting upgrades, getting a couple of medevacs out, and as soon as these 2 medevacs spawned, you can see Polt moving out across the map. He was ready for this build. He wanted to do this build last game, I would assume, as well. And now he's going to have a pretty strong timing attack. And, oh, Monchi falling pretty far back. I don't think he needs to fall that far back, but I think he's going to have enough to defend, especially with those couple of force fields there. The Guardian Shield as well, going to help quite a bit. I would love to see a couple of forgers dropped down onto the map soon as well to start getting upgrades out. Getting his next 2 gateways as well. Going to put him up to 5 gates. The engagement is going to go ahead and go on, though. I don't think Polt should have engaged this because with all these Stalkers just rip apart Marines, even blinking up on top of the army to pick off a few extra units. Was not able to get the medevacs, unfortunately. Always nice to be able to pick those off when you have the opportunity. This factory, though, not even going to be able to get into base. I would consider that attack an all-around fail out of Monchi, out of Polt. I apologize. Just not able to really do any damage whatsoever, and now Monchi's going to be starting to push up. However, with these 4 medevacs, the units are healed almost instantly after that stim up, and now Polt is going to be doing so much damage to this army of Monchi, taking out so many Stalkers, losing minimal forces of his own, and now it was Polt's turn to do a little bit of extra damage to Monchi. And again, Monchi trying to engage this, but with the stim up and the medevacs flying overhead, not able to do that much damage. I mean, yeah, he picked off a few units, but so many Stalkers are wounded now. So many Stalkers did fall in that battle, and now we see Monchi actually at 1,000 resources behind, taking a lot of damage in that engagement. I really feel like that last engagement was a mistake by him, blinking up onto the high ground to get a little bit of a better engagement angle if Polt should decide to move in again. Which it looks like he may be looking at doing just that, as he is beginning to push up once again. A lot of Marauder-centric force even. And getting up to this ridge, picking up a free Zealot, getting a free unit, always worth it. And now stimming up to run away. Doesn't look like he's going to be trying to do too much damage here, but blinking forward, taking out a couple of medevacs is going to hamper this army quite a bit. But Polt's already done quite a bit of damage with that initial stim up. A lot of his units already had been healed, and now able to focus fire down Stalkers and Zealots alike, making sure to get those Stalkers with the Marauders at the beginning of the battle, but now the Zealots getting up front, doing quite a bit of damage, but Polt, losing too many Stalkers in the earlier stages of that engagement, has to fall back up his ramp. Pardon me, Monchi. And Polt, once again, putting on a nice amount of pressure here. Monchi keeps trying to engage us, however, with the Marauder numbers, he's been losing so much. And with that blink forward, Polt decides to turn around and start engaging Monchi's army. Once again, we can see Monchi slowly falling further and further behind in that supply count. And that's going to be not in Harvesters, but in Army alone. Just with all of these barracks back home producing so many Marauders. That is, what is that, 4 Marauders at a time? Indeed it is, and taking his 3rd base as well. Monchi finding himself in a nasty position. I mean, yeah, he is keeping up with his macro, but his army falling so far behind. And even blinking forward, losing a couple Stalkers immediately to this Marauder ball in the middle with those concussive gels. Never blink forward if you don't have to. That's a great way to lose a few extra Stalkers in an engagement. Throwing down a Dark Shrine, because what do you do when you're behind? Get a Dark Templar, the only overpowered unit that Protoss have. And with this, we do see a pretty heavy charge lot force here, but really he just needs some sort of AoE attack to be able to deal with the Polt army at this point in time. You can see Polt just kiting away at the army and finally getting into a position where he doesn't even need to kite anymore just because he has overwhelming forces. Able to take out all of the Zealots, almost all the Stalkers, only 2 Stalkers remain, falling back as fast as they possibly can, warping in more Zealots. Should have just ran up the ramp and waited for the army to engage up the ramp. It looks like Polt might be able to force the retreat on this. Yep, and there's the GG. Well played by Monchi, just falling further and further behind. Almost had that Dark Shrine finished. Maybe prematurely GG'd. On his end, but as an observer we can see that he was just so far behind in this matchup. Yeah, his entire supply count was his probes at this point in time. So, a well-played game by Polt, just well executed, staying on top of his build, not swayed at all by the previous game, and came into this game with a very refined build order that 3 racks, 2 medevac pushed, and was able to take the game with heavy Marauder pressure. I'm going to go ahead and go into game number 3. We will see who takes this series, because it is a best of 3 tied up 1-1 at this point. Should be a good matchup.